is a sorcerer of another sort, and anon he shall give a display of his art to his men. Bring your chains and fetter up this god-man, or man-god, hands and feet, and let us show him and the present company what our sorcery is like. Naronda. Like beasts of prey, the 4 soldiers fell upon the master, and quickly began to fasten chains about his hands and feet. For a moment the 7 sat paralyzed, not knowing how to take what was going on before them, whether in jest or in earnest. Mikayon and Zamora were quicker than the rest in realizing the earnestness of the ugly situation. They sprang upon the soldiers like 2 infuriated lions, and would have laid them low were it not for the restraining and reassuring voice of the master. Let them ply their craft, impetuous Mikayon. Let them have their way, good Zamora. No more appalling to Mirdad are their chains than was the black pit. Let Shamadam rejoice at patching his authority with that of the Prince of Bethar. The patch shall rend them both. Mikayon. How shall we stand aside while our master is being chained like a criminal? Mirdad. Have not the least anxiety for my sake. Be at peace. So shall they do to you some day, but they shall harm themselves and not you. Prince. So shall be done to every rogue and charlatan who dares to flout established right and authority. This holy man, pointing to Shamadam, is the rightful head of this community, and his word must be law unto all. This sacred ark, whose bounties you enjoy, is under my protection. My watchful eye surveys its destinies. My powerful arm is stretched over its roof and properties. My sword will clip the hand that would touch it with ill. Let all know that and beware. Again to his men. Lead this scoundrel out. His dangerous doctrines are well nigh ruined the ark. It would soon ruin our kingdom and the earth if left to pursue its pernicious course. Let him from now on preach it to the grim walls of the dungeon of Bethar. Hence with him. Naronda. The soldiers led the master out, the prince and Shamadam following with gleeful pride. The 7 walked behind this ominous procession, their eyes following the master, their lips glued with grief, their hearts bursting with tears. The master walked with a firm and certain step, and his head was lifted high. Having walked a distance, he looked back at us and said, Be steady in Mirdad. I shall not leave you till I launch my ark and put you in command. Naronda. And long thereafter did these words of his ring aloud in our ears, to the accompaniment of the heavy clanking of the chains. Some time later, Mirdad returns. His disciples are overjoyed. Naronda asks him, Benoon whispered to me to ask the master of how he contrived to escape from the dungeon of Bethar, but my tongue would not obey me to ask the question, which, howbeit, was quickly divined by the master. Mirdad. The dungeon of Bethar is no longer a dungeon. It has become a shrine. The prince of Bethar is no longer a prince. He is today a yearning pilgrim like you. Even a gloomy dungeon, Benoon, may be turned into a dazzling lighthouse. Even a haughty prince may be swayed to lay aside his crown before the crown of truth, and even growling chains may be made to yield celestial music. Nothing is a miracle to holy understanding, which is the only miracle. Naranda. The master's words concerning the abdication of the Prince of Bethar fell like a stroke of lightning on Shamadam, and to our consternation he was suddenly seized with a spasm so strange and so violent that we seriously feared for his life. The spasm ended in a swoon, and we labored long with him before we finally brought him to.